Hello, everyone. Trust you are doing amazing. It's a privilege and honor to be serving you again. This is August 2025, and it's the eighth month of the year. This is our eighth session where I usually will come on live here and really just share something that I think would remarkably, transform your life, remarkably help you on your journey of achieving your goals, building you up into a well rounded individual, whether you're a career person, you're a business person, or even if you're a stay at home mom or you're a student, right? What I think would definitely help you on your journey of becoming more, on your journey of being able to have more and being able to do more with yourself, being able to essentially leverage your God given potential to be able to do so much more for yourself. So it's a wonderful journey, a wonderful ride in the past couple of months, just, sharing with you and taking you on this journey, making sure that you're able to learn across all the different pillars that are important to you as a person, as an individual, and maybe as a business person trying to build out your dream business, or as a career person trying to also advance significantly in your career. So today we're going to have just another amazing and very interesting conversation on what I imagine would be very, very useful and valuable for you. Today we're talking about emotional mastery. Emotional mastery on the journey of growing to become a leader, on the journey of becoming a better version of yourself. You will definitely have to develop yourself as a person. You're constantly on that journey of personal growth, personal development, and you will have to master yourself, master your emotions as you grow on that journey. So it's good to see you here again. I know for many of us, it would look like the year is moving very fast. Like, I can't even imagine that we're already in the eighth month of the year, right? For some of us, it actually looks like the year is moving faster than we thought it would. Can you believe that we're in the second half of the year, and the second half of the year is already moving like very, very fast? Um, this is the month where people either slow down or, yeah, just slow down because they're tired, or they dig in because they know that the year is still full of possibilities, it's still full of opportunities. And I know you've had your own share of highs and lows since the beginning of the year. You've had your fair share of wins and losses, possibly. You've probably had your fair share of celebrations and challenges as well, right? But in this session, in this conversation today, I want us to slow down a little bit. I want us to breathe. I want us to reflect. I want us to have real conversation about something that I believe influences everything that we do. All right? How we lead our teams, as whether we're supervisors or leaders in our organization, or even business owners, founders, whose shoulder the vision of taking the business to the next level actually lies, right? Or in how we are raising our children, just making sure that we do the best for them that is possible to make them responsible, confident children, all right, and children that we're proud of, all right, or the way we're running our business, and how we also nurture our closest relationships. So I really just want us to pause, not talk about all the hard stuff that people would naturally want to talk about, but let's lean into that aspect of life where most times you don't even find people to share what you feel or how you feel with. And you're really sort of working on yourself. You're really also sort of trying to understand yourself. We are on this consistent journey of evolution. We're growing every day. And part of our growing is also how we are fully coming into awareness of our emotions, into understanding how we process our emotions, how we respond to how we feel. I feel like this conversation is really about something that determines how we handle both the good and the not so good seasons of life, our emotions. And I really just feel like we can sit in this conversation for a bit and explore it and really just see how that imparts our personal development, our personal growth. How does it make us become a better person? Because our emotions don't affect just only us, our emotions affect other people. Our emotions impact our relationships, right? Whether it's our friendship relationships, our romantic relationships, our business relationships, relationships that you have with your mentors, your sponsors, your supervisors at work, or just relationships that you have with people that are also looking up to you, people that you are responsible for. I just feel like this is one core pillar in our journey of personal development that we need to be mindful of, that we need to really also seek to master. And that is why what we're talking about today is emotional mastery. Because there's nobody who really wants to advance to become a leader who will not be tested along that journey. And sometimes what makes the difference between whether you pass or you fail, whether you're successful or not successful, could be down to how you handle your own emotions. Do you understand? It could be down to how you handle yourself when things are great. Could be down to how you handle yourself, how you behave, how you react to situations when things are not so great. You see, life would always throw us curveballs, whether in our careers, in our businesses, in our families, even in our relationships. There are times that people will let us down. There are times that things will not really pan out well or in the manner that we imagined or that we wanted or that we desired that it will pan out. And so, in those moments, how do you handle yourself? I've had seasons in my life as well where things don't really go as I thought. And in that moment, I have a choice of sitting in that overwhelming emotion and asking myself, oh, have I failed? Or begin to ask disempowering questions like, oh, maybe I'm not really all that. Maybe I don't really even have capacity for this thing. Maybe I shouldn't really have put myself out. Maybe I've a bit more than I can chew. Maybe I'm not really good. Maybe I'm not just good at this thing. Just disempowering questions or feedback to ourselves that does not empower us, that does not put us in the place of positive affirmation of ourselves and what we're capable of, just because of how things are panned out. Sometimes we overanalyze situations and we personalize things that we really do not have control over, right? It's the journey that every leader has to go through. So things will test you, situations will come up that would make it look like maybe you are the person that has a problem or you're the person that really isn't just good enough. You can even begin to self sabotage. You can begin to withdraw from shining your light, from projecting, from wanting to gain visibility at work, for instance, because of a situation that has happened that has made you question yourself. So life can really throw us a curveball or several curveballs, right? But the difference between those who get who get swept away, and those who grow stronger is emotional mastery, really. The difference between people who shrink rather than grow, stretch, and become so much more and grow in capacity versus people that shrink is emotional mastery. Is knowing yourself so you can grow yourself and so you can build the resilience that you need to thrive in challenging times. It's not a coincidence that this tribe, this community is called the Thrive Mentorship Community. And Thrive presupposes that there will be situations that can mean that you may not thrive or you may not want to thrive, or that could mean that you're being put down and what you're doing is not really thriving. It's more like you're just emotion, you're just in survival mode, you're just trying to get by, but whatever you're experiencing is anything but thriving. If that is how you feel in the moment, feel free to put that in the chat. And this is a no judgment zone. This is us just acknowledging where we are. I took some time out, sometime during the course of this week, to just do a bit of reflection. And I realized that where I was last year emotionally is not where I am right now. Quite a number of things came up last year about this time that made me almost feel like I was just really going on emotion. Like I really was just going on emotion. Like you know that you're not really growing, you're not really pushing yourself as you should, you're not really putting your best foot forward. It just feels like you're overwhelmed but still trying to make stuff work, right? And there was a lot of questioning around certain decisions. There was a lot of retrospection and reflection, and generally my energy at this time of the year last year was not at the peak. So I took some time to sort of just reflect on that. And I'm just so grateful for the journey that has taken me from that place where I was to where I am now, where it feels like I'm so pumped. I feel like I'm in my creative season because a lot is coming out of me in this season that if you asked me last year, I probably would not have been able to articulate in the way that I can articulate it now. That I probably may not even have been able to say, oh, I'll be doing this or I'll be doing that. A lot of new opportunities have also opened up, not necessarily because they just came landing on my lap. Some I went out for them, literally, because I believe that those opportunities had my name on them. And I believe that I had capacity. And I believe that I'm worthy of those opportunities. Do you see? Access to new, possibilities and just believing bigger for myself. So, what I'm talking about is also a personal journey that I have been through, that I also know by virtue of the fact that I coach executives. I know that executives, those people that you look up to, that you feel like they've got it all figured out. My darling, nobody, not even Coach B, has got it all figured out. Nobody. We are all work in progress. Even the mentors, the sponsors, the people you look up to, they have areas of their lives where they are unsure. They have things in their lives that makes them doubt themselves once in a while, especially in the secret places. You won't know, you won't see it because they need to show up strong to you. Because if you see them in their down moments, you would even begin to second guess yourself because you believe that this is someone that I thought has it all together. So if this person is now so scattered and it feels like nothing is going well, or the person is so despondent, it may mean that you're also not inspired to go on the journey of growth and development that will grow you, that will stretch you, just because you can see someone that you believe in, you trust, and you were inspired by. You saw them spiral down. And so that is why strong leaders or people that know that they have responsibility for other people rarely show their emotions, rarely show their weaknesses, are rarely vulnerable for people to see where they are also struggling. So if you're a leader listening to me, this is me validating that what you feel is real and it's okay. Just like life, everything is not steadily on a high rise. There are low moments, there are high moments, there are low moments, there are high moments, and we ride the tide. That is life. We ride the tide. And so when you're in your low moment, the question is, how do you handle yourself such that you don't break other people's spirits, even if you feel like you don't have it all together? And I'm not saying pretense. I'm not saying you have to show up like what you don't really believe in. But I'm just saying, where is the resilience that helps you to stay even when things are not going your way, even when things are not panning out the way you planned for them to, even when the goals that you have set at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of the quarter, it looks like you're not even anywhere close to them? Where do you reach to deep inside of you that allows you to find the energy, find the strength to hold on? Just being assured that the possibilities that you're praying for, the opportunities that you desire and you're working towards, are rightfully yours and you're worthy of them and they're coming. Where do you find the staying power to keep showing up? That's what this conversation is about. I know it can be, it can feel a little messy, a little muddy, a little like I'm getting into your emotions and stuff like that. But hey, we never find rooms sometimes where these conversations are had. And I feel like it's a conversation that we need to have. We need to create safe spaces where we can really say, you know what? Yeah, I know we're supposed to have positive mindset, positive thinking, but right now, I don't feel anything positive. I actually feel this way or that way. Because one of the things that I found in my own journey is that you don't deny your emotions. One of the ways for you to deal with an emotion that seems to be draining your energy or draining your strength or putting you in a place where you feel like you can't show up in your best self. One of the ways to deal with that is to first acknowledge what you're feeling. Don't deny it, because denying it doesn't take it away. Do you see what I mean? Denying it doesn't take it away. So it's about not wallowing in self pity, but literally acknowledging, more like you're calling the emotion out. And you're saying, I see you. I recognize you. I know you are there. I'm not going to deny that you're there. I see it. And then decide what you're going to do with it. So let's talk about what emotional mastery is a bit. I would say that emotional mastery is not pretending to be happy all the time. I mean, this is me just trying to not give you any verbose definition of what emotional mastery is. It is really not pretending to be happy all the time or suppressing how you feel. Yeah. It is about recognizing your emotions. Yes. It is about recognizing your emotions, understanding what triggers them, all right? Processing them processing your emotions and responding wisely instead of reacting impulsively. Just choose it how you respond. That's emotional mastery. Do you get that? Do you understand it? Emotional mastery is not trying to be strong or trying not to feel. You can't do that. You can't try not to feel. You're not wood. You have blood running in your veins. So, yes, you will feel. And sometimes those feelings may not even be pleasant feelings. Okay? But how do you gain mastery in spite of what you feel? How does what you feel affect what you do or the decisions that you take? So, emotional mastery is about recognizing what you feel or how you feel, owning that emotion. Sometimes there are emotions of pain, sometimes there are emotions of guilt, sometimes you feel let down, there are emotions of disappointment. Okay. Now, this conversation is not supposed to be all doom and gloom. Sometimes there are also emotions of excitement, of pleasure, of fulfillment, of possibilities, being in high spirit, feeling elated, feeling pleasantly surprised. So at the peak of either of this side of the emotion are possibilities for you to either misrepresent or react impulsively in a way that you probably didn't intend to, or send a wrong message, or really just not own a situation properly in the way that you should have if you had had time to process how you felt in that moment properly, articulate how you would want to respond and the outcome that you would like to see. So, regardless of how you feel, whether you are ecstatic at the highest point of your positive emotions or whatever, or you are on the other side where it feels like doom and gloom, it's about understanding how you feel or what you feel, getting to know what triggered what you feel, processing that emotion, and then choosing how you respond to it. Just think about it like being the driver of a car and not the passenger that is being tossed around. That's emotional mastery. Irrespective of what is going on, as long as you have your hand on the steering wheel, let's say there is a storm, or whatever is happening, as long as you have your hand on the steering wheel, you decide where the car moves to. You decide whether it goes to the right, it goes to the left. Doesn't matter what is happening around you. Think of emotional mastery like that. You are in charge, you are in control, irrespective of how you feel or what the situation made you feel. It's a skill that allows you to navigate life's highs and lows without being controlled by your emotions. Underline that part, not being controlled by your emotions, meaning you choose your response regardless. You choose your response. Somebody did something and they made you feel bad. Emotional mastery is you choose your response regardless. When people say stuff like, oh, he made me do it because of how he spoke to me, he made me do it because of what he did to me. No, nobody made you do anything. It's just like a man that decided to beat his wife and says, oh, she made me beat her. No, nobody made you beat her. It's because you had capability to beat. That's why you can beat somebody. It's because you had it in you to beat somebody. Or somebody that told a lie, or somebody that stole something, or someone that did something that is really just beneath them. And then rather than take ownership of the action that came out of whatever happened, and how that thing made them feel, that made them respond in the way that they responded, rather than take ownership for that, The natural thing that people do is they want to point to somebody else to say, it was because of what A did or A said that made me behave or react or say what I did or say. Now, that is not emotional mastery. Emotional mastery is a skill. Yes, it's a muscle you have to develop. And you develop it through constant use of that muscle. Pretty much. Pretty much. It's a skill that helps you to navigate your life's highs and lows without being controlled by your feelings. So you choose your response, you choose how you react, how you respond. Think of emotions like the waves in the ocean, right? You can't stop the waves, right? You can't stop them from coming, but you can learn to surf them instead of getting drowned in them. That's your emotion right there. You can't stop the rain from falling, okay? But you can decide whether you will open an umbrella, whether you wear a raincoat, or whether you just dance in it. Let the showers just come upon you and wash you through and through. Now that's your decision. The rain will fall regardless. How you shield yourself, how you cover yourself, or how you choose to get drenched in the rain, that decision is yours. And it's not going to be, oh, it's because the rain fell. No. Yes, the rain fell. But what do you do? What is your choice because of that? Now, why is emotional resilience important? Why does it even matter, especially in challenging times? It's very important because we're not guaranteed that life will not throw us curveballs that we didn't expect or we didn't feel like we're well resourced to handle or that we can manage by ourselves. Life will happen regardless, no matter what is going on. Life would happen. But you see, despite the fact that life has seasons of pressure, tight deadlines, financial strains, relationship challenges, or even personal disappointments, life is not just about what happens to us. More importantly, life is about how we respond to what happens to us. And that is why emotional resilience is very important. Emotional resilience really even means you're bending without breaking. That's the way I would, just express it. Emotional resilience means, yes, I bend, but I don't break. Resilience doesn't mean that you are not affected or you are not touched by life or by things that is happening around you. It just means that you bounce back quicker, stronger, wiser, better. Someone has treated you in a way that you didn't like. Now you know how to choose your friendships better. Now you know how you should expose yourself or not expose yourself. Now you know which part of you consider sacred or vulnerable that if someone touches, it really affects you. So next time you know not to expose that to people for people to take advantage of it. Do you see? So at the end of the day, you have no control over what people do or say to you, but you do have control on how that affects you or how that informs what you then do thereafter. I was having a conversation with my husband lately, and I was sharing with him how, someone I had partnered with on a project had carried on with that project and all that, and how that made me feel. And what that experience taught me is essentially that at the end of the day, it is who I have become as a result of that experience that really matters. That experience has taught me that I needed more boundaries because I'm always very eager to serve, eager to be available to other people. Sometimes people use that to their own advantage. The fact that you're good to people does not necessarily mean that they're going to be good to you, at least maybe not in the same measure that you were good to them. And sometimes that can cause us disappointment. That can make us feel somehow. That can make us a bitter person. That can cause us to be who we're not originally designed to be. We can decide to become hardened such that we don't give grace to other people that could benefit from that part of us that somebody else abused, right? For me, that experience taught me that in my kindness, in my willingness to serve, in my willingness to add value to others, I should never forget boundaries. Boundaries. And sometimes you have to show yourself or give yourself self respect. Do you understand? Self respect. Self respect. And sometimes it may even mean that, and this is also what I have done, beyond just acknowledging how I feel about it, because I wanted to rid my heart of any grudges and everything, I actually pray about it. And I just say, God, I hand over my heart to you. Just take out any grudge, any bitterness, any resentment, whatever. Just purge me and make me wiser. Okay. And teach me, show me, give me wisdom, in this kind of situation, how to deal and all of that. Because sometimes you lean into God. I mean, I believe in God, right? And even for things as little as my emotions, you'll be shocked that sometimes you feel like you're strong, but certain things happen to you and you realize, you're not really all that strong. And it takes you also just really being able to find a place of solace that allows you to process that thought without guilt, without holding people to offense in your heart. Do you see what I mean? So for me, I'm choosing to embrace that situation with grace. I'm choosing to be the bigger person in how I respond to the situation. And guess that has made me to be? Wiser, stronger, the mature person. Do you see? And it has also taught me how to deal in similar situations in the future. Do you see? So, yes, emotional resilience is important because challenging times are real and they are bound. And it's even in things as little as family relationships. I've also had an instance, with a family member that have also shown kindness. I've always looked out for. I've always been good to. But maybe they just feel like you're not deserving of what you have and it should have been them. Or they even feel like your act of kindness is somewhat a way to spite them, that they are not up to your level, that kind of whatever. It's amazing how people process things. So even when you do good or you do bad, people will still choose how they choose to respond, no matter what. And you really have no control over that. I tell you. Now, this is a family member that is very close, someone that I love deeply. But I found after many years that this person really didn't regard me in the way that I regarded them. They didn't really feel about me the way I felt about them. I'd said things about me behind that almost sound like backstabbing and wishing me ill luck. And these were people that I had prayed for at different points, and stood in the gap with, I had, supported emotionally, financially, in cash, in kind. materially, just to find out that this is how this person actually sees you or wishes for you, can make you really distraught. You know, how have I dealt with that situation? Boundaries. It has taught me that sometimes you may have to love from afar. Just that because you want to love people or show that you love them, sometimes does not necessarily mean that you bring them close. It may not be the best for you, it may not even be the best for them. So I've learned boundaries even more because I've gotten shaped at very close range by people that are brought really, really close to my heart, that I've trusted with things that I believe were very important to me as a person, you know. But you just realize that people will be people. Do you see? And that is why emotional resilience is super important. Does it mean that I will refuse to be kind to other people? Does it mean that when I can do good to people, I will choose not to do good to them? No, no. I don't make an experience that has gone wrong or that has looked like your positive is being exchanged for negative or whatever. I don't make it define who I become, who I am. I don't make it, change my nature as a person. It just teaches me how to deal with people and the fact that when people show you who they are, my darlings, believe them. In fact, when they show you who they are the first time, don't wait for a second time. Believe them. If somebody shows you by their attitude, their actions, that they can't be trusted, please believe them. Cut them some slack. Because people are really who they are, no matter what. And as I always tell you, how you do one thing is how you do everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. If you are a non-committal person, someone who has a problem with commitment, it will show through everywhere. It will show through in your relationships with your friends. It will show through in your work relationship and your commitment to your work. It will show through in the way you relate with your mentors. It will show through even in the way you commit to the things that are important in terms of maybe like your romantic relationship with your husband or your wife, as the case may be. It will show through. How you do one thing is how you do everything. It will show. It will show in how you persevere when work becomes tough because you lack commitment. So you back down very easily. Yes, it will show through. It will show. So my point is, you can't stop the storm, but you can learn to sail your ship through it. Yeah, that's why I think it's very important. You can't afford to live exposed. Yes, we can be vulnerable, but don't put yourself in a place where you are exposed and how life comes at you then begins to denature you, begins to make you become who you are not originally designed to be, or begin to make you choose responses that does not serve you, or responses that you would not have chosen if all things were good, right? Let it not make you a bitter person at the end of the day. How do you manage emotions in different arenas of your life? For instance, in your career, in your workplace, imagine a scenario where you've been working hard on a project for weeks, and all of a sudden, you know, a breezer came, or maybe just a meeting or something, and a colleague takes credit for your work in front of your boss. How would you feel? Just share with me. In that moment, what emotions would you feel? Would you probably feel anger? Would you probably feel frustration? Perhaps maybe you might feel undervalued. You might feel invisible. You might even feel betrayed. For instance, if the colleague had maybe only just supported in getting the work done, and you were the original mastermind of the idea and everything, infuriated, okay, yeah, you know, you will feel anger. But then, what is the emotional mastery response that you can choose in that moment? It is that instead of publicly snapping or making a a showdown, right, to show that yes, I'm the person that is deserving of this recognition or whatever, you can take a breath, breathe, avoid a public confrontation, and request a private meeting with your boss to clarify your contributions. Because the truth is that if you make a showdown publicly, things can go south and it may still not be in your favor. So at that moment, your emotions will be speaking. You will probably say things that if you had time to process what you were saying, those will not be the words that you will use. Do you see? So what you will do in that situation is what I call the pause, assess, respond method. Pause, assess, respond method. You pause before reacting. You assess the bigger picture and then respond in a way that protects the relationships that are important for your advancement in your career and your professional reputation as much as possible. Because when you make a showdown, display your anger, how you are so not pleased with whatever, guess what? Somebody else may be observing that situation, and what they're taking out of that situation can be totally different from what you intended. You can come across as someone who is unstable. You can come across as someone who is not, strong emotionally to handle challenges. People can just make a judgment of you in that moment, even though you're on your right. People can make a judgment of you in that moment that is totally out of what you imagined or what you thought of, or the outcome that you're even trying to get. Do you see? But when you have a moment to pause and reflect, assess the situation, and then respond, you're likely to respond in a more powerful way. You're more likely to respond in a more thoughtful way that guarantees that you get the outcome that you are seeking. Now, that is emotional mastery. Let's look at another scenario, maybe in a business scenario. Imagine that you've invested in a big marketing campaign. You're trying to launch a new product and you've put in months of work into it and you've put in a lot of investment into it as well. And then all of a sudden, after all is said and done, it fails. It fails to bring the results that you wanted. How will you react also in that situation? You probably panic, especially if the budget that has gone in is a lot of money that you were hoping to recoup back, but now it's not looking like it's happening. So you probably may panic. You may get into anxiety, right? You may likely begin to doubt yourself. You may likely be discouraged. What other feelings, what other emotions are likely going to come up for you? You may be frustrated, okay? You may just back down and shut down the whole thing, right? Yeah, those are emotions. The emotional mastery response that I would recommend in this sort of situation is number one, step back, analyze why. Shift your focus from I failed to what's the lesson? Review the data that you have. Okay? Test new strategies and learn. I learned this very important lesson when I was working with my boss in the last place I worked as a career professional. And my boss will say something like, when something fails to meet expectation or deliver the results that we're expecting, there was a particular day he said something like, oh, we just paid school fees. What that meant is that experience was a learning experience. And so the money that we had spent in getting that experience was school fees. Like we were in school to learn how not to do certain stuff. That is really like a learning, more like an investment rather than an expense. And it shifted my perspective that this is why successful people are successful. Their mindset, the way they choose to see situations, the way they choose to respond to situations. It shifted my perspective that day because I was here feeling really bad for him that, oh, we've made this investment and it just looked like this thing is about to fail. But then the way he chose to say it was like, this is a lesson that we just learned. We've just been schooled by life on how to do stuff and or how not to do it. So the response really is step back, analyze why the thing failed, shift your focus from I failed to why did it happen and what's the lesson here? Review the data that you have and test new strategies and then learn. See failure as feedback. Okay, put that in the chat. See failure as feedback, not finality. No, not finality. Ask yourself, what have I learned? What has this situation taught me? And what can I improve? In fact, create a reflection framework after every setback. And then write down number one, what happened? Number two, what I can control. Because many times we sit in things that we really don't have control over and we flog ourselves on them. Meanwhile, there's nothing you could have done because you really didn't have control on that aspect. So acknowledge what you don't have control over and don't flog yourself for it. Okay? Ask yourself, what can I control? What is within my zone of control? And then what is my next best step to take in this situation? All right? Let's look at another arena of life, which is your family life. Imagine a scenario where a family member keeps making financial demands or financial requests that put you under pressure. Imagine that scenario. How will you feel? This person keeps coming. You've helped them before, they keep coming again. They put you under unnecessary pressure. They derail your plans, your goals, because you kind of feel like you have an obligation to them to help them, right? Maybe they've even helped you in the past, and so now you feel guilt-tripped or you just feel responsible for them. But these people have not really been very responsible for themselves. And so every time they come with their own needs, it feels like you are the one that needs to sort it out, right? How will you feel in this situation? You probably will feel frustrated. You may even begin to resent them. And maybe even feel guilt in some way as well. Now, what's the emotional mastery response you should choose in this scenario? It is for you to set clear but compassionate boundaries. I had a client who were, having a wealth coaching session, and he said something like, one of the impediments or one of the hurdles or obstacles to building wealth that I see is my giving. I feel like I can't not give. I don't know if there's anything like that. It feels like it's almost become a weakness where he gives and overgives and gives to his own detriment. And the conversation I had with him at that time is just what I'm going to share with you, which is Sometimes you need to, not even sometimes, you need to set clear but compassionate boundaries around your money. Because guess what? If you become poor and you're unable to help those people again in the future, these same people will speak badly about you. Do you understand? And interestingly, they will move on like you never existed. They will move on. They will find other means to take care of themselves. In some cases, you may even find that they even had the means ab initio, but they just decided to make their problem your problem. Because, hey, you have a good heart and you always give, even if it is to your own detriment. So, what I said to him is have clear but compassionate boundaries around your money. Say something like, I care about you so much, and you know I always do, but I can't commit to this financially right now. Let's explore other options. There's nothing about that said, no, I don't want to help you. You acknowledge the fact that I have helped you in the past without necessarily throwing it in their faces. You tell them that you love them and you believe in whatever it is they're trying to do, whether it's that it's a business and whatever, but that you just don't have the capacity at this point in time to make that financial commitment. Do you see? So just say it as nicely as possible without feeling any sense of guilt or shame about it. Remember that boundaries are not walls, they are doors with locks. Let that sink in. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with locks. So you choose when and how to open them. You choose when and how to open them. Boundaries are an act of love to protect yourself, to protect other people. Even the Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. It did not say more than yourself. So you must love yourself first before you can love others. And that's what boundaries do for you. They are not walls, they are doors with locks. You choose when and how to open it. Okay? It helps you to protect your relationships from resentment. It helps you to protect your heart from becoming a bitter person. It protects you. That's really what boundaries do for you. They are not walls. You're not saying no with a sense of finality. It is, let's explore other options. And you may even find a better option. The person may find better options. And so you release yourself from that burden, from that pressure, without any sense of guilt about it. Okay? Let's talk about another arena of your life, which is your personal relationships. Okay? For example, maybe with your spouse. Okay? Imagine a scenario where your partner forgets something that is very important to you. Maybe like your birthday or your wedding anniversary or something that is really a special date or maybe a personal request that you've made of them before. Right? How would that make you feel? How would that make you feel if someone that you love dearly seem seem not to be mindful of you or seem not to be sensitive to the things that are important to you? Because the truth is that sometimes we're let down by the people that we love the most, and maybe even people that love us too. But things happen because we're human. And we can feel let down by some actions that they take or some things that they say or do. So, in this particular scenario, you probably will feel hurt. You probably will feel disappointment. You may even feel unimportant. Like, okay, maybe I'm not really, maybe I'm not really that important to that person for you to be so mindful to remember my birthday or to remember our wedding anniversary. Maybe I'm really very invisible in your life or I don't mean much to you. You can begin to interpret it in that way, right? It's natural to think like that. But the emotional mastery response I would rather that you choose in this situation is, rather than sit in that hurt, that pain, that disappointment, that feeling of frustration, that feeling of being invisible or not important, what I would rather that you do is communicate honestly. Share how you feel without accusing. So you're not coming at the person with accusations. Because when you do that, it then aggravates the other person who may not really have, come to terms with what they have done and how that has made you feel. Do you see? So you can communicate honestly, share how you feel openly without accusing. Communicate with I statement. When you forgot my birthday last week, I felt hurt because it's important to me. I was really pained when you missed helping me to pick up my drugs when I asked you to do so yesterday. You know, I I feeling that allows you to express what you feel without necessarily sounding accusatory. You're just trying to get the person to see you without necessarily putting them down. Do you see? So use I statements, not you always. There's a sense where you say, oh, you always do this. You always, yeah. That's what you're likely going to say in the heat of the moment. And that is why that pause, assess, and respond method works every time across the different arenas that you can play it in. When you say you always, that is accusatory. Don't do that. Keep the focus on your feelings, not blaming or attacking the person. Do you understand? Keep the focus on how you feel, how what they did made you feel, not necessarily them. Do you see what I mean? Not blaming them, not accusing them, but also acknowledging how what they did made you feel. So it's about the feeling that you're trying to communicate. All right? So let's talk about holistic tools as we begin to wrap this up. What are the tools that can help us to gain emotional mastery, make us become better people, people that are in a position to do better with our emotions, respond better, irrespective of how we feel? Number one, self awareness practices. Self awareness practices like journaling, writing down your emotions daily. It helps you to really just identify patterns. I have journals. I have the journal app. I think I may have shared it with you guys before. I have the journal app on my phone. So journaling for me can be both written in terms of just writing in my hardcover journal or just journaling on my phone, just taking stock of my day at the end of the day. How did the day go today? What did I feel good about? What didn't I feel so good about? And how would I want to respond to that situation? Or what am I going to do about that situation? And that sometimes can even inform what I do the following day, right? So write down your emotions. Don't just write goals. I know we talk about goals, and I'm a goals girl, right? I talk about goals a lot. I'm very action oriented. I'm very execution driven. So there is a sense in which what you're tracking are the hard things, the goals, the activities, the tasks, the things that you want to achieve. Yes, they're great, but sometimes acknowledge your emotions as well. Acknowledging your emotions can be the reason why you feel lethargy, or rather, not acknowledging your feelings could be why you feel a level of weakness, a level of just not feeling active, not feeling the energy that you need to get your day started with and get going with the things that you want to achieve. There's a sense in which you just wake up and you're just not yourself. You just You just don't have the energy to push for the day, to just be good and show up and do all the stuff that you're supposed to do. Sometimes it is because you probably are suppressing how you feel or how something that has happened made you feel. All right. So sometimes do that exercise. You will see that it will give you clarity, and it would also help you to prioritize what is important. Doing this journaling is not for you to now sit down and be wallowing. Oh, I feel so bad today. This thing so makes me so feel bad and whatever. That's not what that is supposed to be. It's about acknowledging how you feel. It's about acknowledging what you have control over. It's about assessing the situation from outside in and choosing your response in spite of. Because being in a position to choose your response puts you in the driver's seat of that situation. And you can choose what you do and what you don't do. Do you see what I mean? So, self awareness practices like journaling. Another thing is what I call mindfulness. 5 minutes of breathing before going into an important meeting or an important conversation. Just pause. Okay? Just pause. Take a moment. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Acknowledge those feelings. Hold it in your hand. For instance, I do this, for instance, when I'm going for speaking engagements. That sometimes I feel a bit of flustering inside of me. I don't know what exactly it is, or if a feeling of being jittering. I feel jitters, like, and I'm like, okay, so why am I feeling jittery? I'm a subject matter expert. I know my onions. I know the topic that I've been called to speak on. I've prepared. Why do I feel these jitters? Sometimes it's by calling that feeling out like that. Why am I feeling a bit off? Why am I feeling anxious? Ask yourself. Sometimes it may just be that somebody walked into the room that you weren't expecting, maybe someone that you didn't have a good relationship with in the past. And so that person then just shifted the atmosphere for you because that person is in the room. That may be why you're feeling the jitters that you feel. Do you see what I mean? Just acknowledging that feeling in that moment helps you to get back to focus and tell yourself how you're going to deal with yourself, delivering your speech without allowing the person that you've seen cause you to lose your guards or not be composed. So you can choose, yes, I acknowledge that this person is in the room, but I'm not going to look in this person's direction. I'm going to focus my energy, my attention on the people that are smiling at me, that make me feel welcome. I'm going to go on stage with a joke or with something interesting to crack the room up and warm the room up. And then I take ownership of the room and then I get into my speech. Do you see? It just helps you to take charge of that situation in that moment, as opposed to you're feeling very conscious, but you then carry that energy of that consciousness up to when you're then called on the stage, and then you go on stage still feeling the jitters because you didn't deal with it. Mindfulness. All these things I'm talking about are things that you can necessarily do within a space of 5 minutes. Take some time, just breathe deeply, acknowledge what you're feeling, pause, ask yourself, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? What am I going to do about it? Mindfulness. Number two tool that I think you can use to build emotional resilience is reframing perspective. Reframing perspective. Ask yourself what you're feeling right now, or that situation that is causing you to feel the way you feel right now. Will that thing matter in another 5 years? Yeah. It would help you to filter what is worth your emotional energy. It will help you to shift your focus when you ask that question. It will help you to shift your focus to what is really truly important and what should be priority to you in that moment. It will help you to shift from why is this happening to me to what is this teaching me? Yeah. It will help you to really shift your energy. You will be able to reframe that perspective. You will have that shift in perspective on how you're looking at that situation, and you'll be able to choose a better response in that situation. Number three, build a support system. Have a trusted, emotionally sound board, someone that you can call, in those moments where you're just not sure what to do. Someone that can whisper some words of encouragement, or just knows the right thing to say in that moment to keep you calm. Someone that you can call to help you process, what's going on before you start reacting. So have at least one or two people like that you know that they got your back. They are emotionally sound, wise people that you trust their counsel, that when you call them in those moments when you're distressed, they are likely going to give you wise counsel that will help you. Number four thing that I think you should do is what I call self-care. Self-care and stress management. Exercise. Sometimes we have pent up emotions that we haven't even had time to process or walk through. And sometimes exercise help you to feel lighter, to get out of a moody feeling. Some of us, especially women, just because our hormones are going riots, we can get into this moody feeling that we don't even understand where it's coming from, what is happening to us. And it's just your emotions playing pranks on you. So sometimes self-care can help. Exercise, good sleep. Ah, I found that good sleep is actually like medicine. Good sleep, good nutrition. Your physical health also fuels your emotional stability. Have you found that there are times when you are stressed physically, you begin to get very cranky, you begin to nag, you begin to stamp? Yeah. So your physical well-being is also very important. So prioritize self-care. Self-care is not that you must go to spa every week or every other week. It is that you eat well, you exercise, you hydrate, drink water, and you get good sleep. Number five thing that I think you should do is your inner anchor, your faith. For those of us that are believers, I am a believer, I believe in God. Sometimes I pray, sometimes I meditate, sometimes I read the scriptures just to help me regulate my emotions. Okay, so those are the tools that I believe that you can definitely use that can help you to manage your emotions properly. And I hope that, all that we've shared today has been valuable for you. I hope that you can relate and connect and find things that are useful in how you process your emotions going forward and you gain mastery of your emotions. I need you to just reflect, as we wrap this up. Ask yourself, which area of your life right now, whether it's your career, your business, your family life, your relationships, that tests your emotions the most in this season or right now? Which of them? And then what's the one area of your life where you really feel emotionally stretched? Just take some time to reflect on it. And then now ask yourself, what's the one action that you're going to take this week to respond with mastery instead of reacting impulsively? All right? Do that. Put that in the chat, put that in the group, share that with your friends, with your buddies, the people that you study together, so that you become a better person. This is all part of your personal development. Sometimes the personal development is not only so much as maybe the goals that you set in at work, in your career that you've been able to achieve, the promotion you were looking for, the sales that we're trying to get, the partnership opportunity you were looking for. Sometimes personal development is you just being at peace with yourself and learning to guard that peace, learning to master your emotions so that you are able to make good decisions. You are in control and you feel like you are in charge of how you go about your day and how you make decisions that impact your life now and in the future. So, in closing, emotional mastery is not about being perfect. Everything I have talked about here has nothing to do with perfection. It's about being present, it's about being aware, it's about being intentional. All right? Emotional mastery is not about being emotionless. It's not about becoming all wise that you can never go wrong. No. When you know yourself, you can grow. So don't live in denial. Don't deny your emotions. Acknowledge them. But in acknowledging them, don't sit in them. Grow through them. When you grow yourself, you become unstoppable in life. You become unstoppable in business. You're able to build quality relationships. All right. And you can navigate the storms that, life brings your way. So as we move through this month, remember your emotions are messengers. Okay? They are not dictators. Your emotions are messengers. They are not dictators. Listen to them. Yeah, listen to your emotions. Learn from them, but don't let them lead you off course. Don't let them lead you off course. Let's commit to practicing emotional resilience this month. Okay, in our careers, in our business, let these words ring in your ears. Because when you master your emotions, you master your life. Thank you so much for watching this session, for joining this session. I hope it's been valuable for you. I hope you're going to pay it forward. I hope you're going to share with somebody. Feel free to share this link with people in your community, in your network that you believe need to hear this, that you feel like this will also add value to. Freely you've been given, freely share. God bless you. I love you. I'm rooting for you. See you next time. God bless you.